HRN listeners. As we celebrate our 15th year, we are deepening our commitment to giving voice to the next generation of food systems storytellers, and we need your help. Our internship and fellowship programs help activate new possibilities for underrepresented and underestimated young people through experiential journalism, audio engineering, and production training. Through these unique programs, HRN helps food equity stewards build essential workforce readiness skills that expand their potential and foster economic mobility. Please consider supporting these critical programs. And with a minimum donation, you can be entered to win a dinner for two at an amazing restaurant in one of 8 cities and tickets to a concert at a great venue in one of those cities. We have incredible partners across the country who have donated, as they also share our passion for helping to educate the next generation of food systems storytellers. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. And make sure you donate before March 31st. Thank you.
I'm Harry Rosenblum, host of Feast Your Ears here on Heritage Radio Network. We're on tour. We're broadcasting live from the Le Creuset podcast studio at the Charleston Wine and Food Festival. Go to heritageradionetwork.org/Charleston 2019 to see our full interview schedule. You can tell that I've had some of the food and the wine already this morning. Big thank you to Le Creuset and the Julia Child Foundation for making Heritage Radio Network on tour at Charleston Wine and Food possible. Sitting down right now to talk with Nate Collier from Le Creuset, and I'm being joined by Caity from Heritage to also chime in with questions about Le Creuset and color and design. Thanks, Nate.
So happy to be here. Love to talk about this stuff. Love to see people enjoying food and wine. Love to be with people that enjoy food and wine. So let's do it.
So Le Creuset is known for and has been known for almost 100 years, right? Of having brightly colored enamel cast iron. That's really like that. You guys do other things now. You do stoneware,
right,
and you've had some other types of cast iron pots and pans. But really, like the Dutch oven in bright colors is like Le Creuset's signature.
100%. That's our core product. It's our core brand equity. It's what we always talk about and link back to and believe in. Since 1925, so 94 years in the same village in northeastern France, Frenois-le-Grand. In fact, closer to the Belgian border than Paris.
Right.
Company was started by a Belgian gentleman and a French gentleman, so an enameling expert and a cast iron expert came together to fuse their knowledge, a collaboration, as they would say in this day and age. And they wanted to do color, and that was something new and different. It had never been done. We were the first to do it, and it was something that at the time they didn't even know if they could do it.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of research, the melting of the glass and the different minerals. But they nailed it after, I'm sure, a number of different tries.
Right.
And the first color was the iconic flame orange. And the enameling expert was watching the casting process over and over again, kind of thinking of what he wanted to do, and watching the really bright orange molten cast iron come out of the crucible, and then it cools to a darker orange as it cools in the mold. So that was the inspiration for the color, but also that gradient ombre effect was not, it was purposeful after he saw it, but it was the inspiration from the actual metal itself cooling. And so it's such a cool story to hear that the inspiration for the color came from the metal itself at the end of the day. And now we've done over 200 colors since then, obviously not producing all of them now, but it's a constant inspiration to go back to that same story and find color in multiple different places.
Right. I mean, back then, white was the only color.
Right.
And my understanding is that even before that, it was a huge revolution in the cookware industry to have the white, the iconic white enamel has black piping.
Right.
And then there was a company that did red piping.
Right.
And it was like this whole thing of suddenly there was color, but it wasn't really.
Right.
It was white. And so Le Creuset comes along and then has introduced, all of these other colors over the years. And what I think that does is you have people who both can collect a rainbow or collect a specific color.
Absolutely.
And I think people do get very into a specific color that they love. People collect cobalt, or people collect red, or people collect white, or people collect black.
Right. I mean, we hear that all the time. I mean, even just outside today at our photo wall, talking to people about what colors they collect. I don't know what the exact ratio is, but some of them are I will only always have red.
Right.
And that's our biggest assortment. So I think people feel comfortable knowing that they're always going to be able to buy something in that red color.
Yeah.
And then other people that want to mix and match. And we're even starting more and more now to encourage people to mix and match.
Yeah.
I do at home just because I own so many different colors.
Sure.
But from a purposeful perspective, you think about your house or your kitchen, your walls might not be all the same color in every room, or the art that you hang on the walls is a different color, or the clothes that you wear are different colors together. And so people are used to it. We just want to give them that freedom and confidence to do that too.
I also feel like it can help you identify, right? Like if you are someone who becomes sort of, obsessed with Le Creuset, and many people are,
Right.
you might have a 5.5 quart and you might have a 7 quart.
Right.
And if you're looking at them from across the kitchen, or someone else is cooking in your kitchen and they say, which pond should I use? And you say the 7 quart, they're not going to know what that means.
Right.
You might want to say, oh, that's the yellow one.
Right.
Right.
Of course. And, we're a favorite for generations because people have this affinity for the brand and they pass it down to people, but also because it's a personal statement,
Yeah.
just like you said, if you're a red person or a person that, happens to wear an all black wardrobe or whatever it is, that's a personal statement. And the color that you choose in the kitchen is also a personal statement. And we want to give people the freedom to have that expression as well.
So what is the process for new colors? Is there one person at the company who is charged with deciding, like, we're going to make fig and this is going to be a color we're going to put out, or is it a team effort? How does it work?
So it is a team effort, but it's also, we are an international company. We're based in Europe, but the different subsidiaries operate autonomously. And so being the biggest one in the U.S., we drive a lot of that for the company. But, you get to choose market to market. And you think about Asia, they have, I think, 5 or 6 different pinks and purples.
Yep.
And so it's different what they think people are going to react to. And so we've gotten a lot more sophisticated with it in the U.S. from trend forecasting and really pride ourselves on forecasting and not watching what's coming out and then trying to mimic that. So we work with a couple different agencies. We work internally, and we're about 2 years out. And so
Right.
we look at cultural trends, at food trends, at obviously what gaps we might have in our
Yep.
portfolio. And then, that is one part of it. And then we have to go back to the factory where there's chemists and color
Right,
engineers that have to say,
You have to be able to make it.
no, there's no way you can make that color, or it's going to take us a while to figure it out. Some of the colors, some of the purples, for example, when they put the enamel in the pot, they look like pale pink. But by the time you fire it and those minerals change in the oven, it comes out a brighter, vibrant purple. And they have to know how that is going to happen. There's everything from gold to different minerals in glasses and things like that in the enamel. So they have to validate it and make sure that we can make it as well. But it's become more of a statement for people. And so the new colors we have out now are a much more muted, neutral palette. And
Yeah.
so we saw a need from cultural trends of a lot of noise in the marketplace, and not just from products, but from, TV, media, digital, everything that, we saw people reacting to more of a kind of a calming space. And so we took that inspiration to go with it. And 2 years from now, we might be back on brighter saturated primary colors, which we're known
Right.
for. But we like to find that inspiration in a number of different places.
Nate, can you talk a little more about the science of especially with the colors? I think this is fascinating. You don't have to explain the
Right.
chemistry of, but what does that team look like? How many chemists are required to figure out, can we do this color? Do the colors affect the price? And how much innovation is happening in the enamel process itself?
So the first answer to one of those questions is yes, the color affects the price. And it's so funny because there's a number of different colors. One that we will be coming out with shortly, which is called Berry. I think it launches in May. We've been working on it for years. And the only way to achieve this kind of bright purpley pinky color was to use gold.
Wow.
And it was too expensive. It wasn't working the right way. And finally we nailed it, but it is more expensive, and we're not going to raise the price on that one particular pot, but we do take that into consideration. And the other part of that is, from a food safety standpoint, there's other minerals that you're not allowed to use in the formulation. And so there's a team of chemists that do that, but then also at the same time, there's operational engineers that have to make sure it's stable throughout the process as well. So they start in very, very small batches and hand enamel the stuff and put it through a test oven to see if it works, and then they'll go through a production process. But it's so amazing to see. I've been to the factory a few times, and there's these giant machines that mix everything, whatever. But at the end of the day, the enamel comes out in Rubbermaid, like 50-gallon trash cans that get dragged over to something else because they need to dip into it and make sure the viscosity works or whatever. So it needs to be open for people to look at it. So it's a huge process. It's a giant factory.
Is there a safety testing process after
Absolutely,
that too?
yes, absolutely. So they do that ahead of time internally, but we have to submit for, in Germany, the LMGBH standards are very high, and of course California Prop 65 is important to adhere to, and then food safety standards as well. So yeah, that's all definitely tested internally.
Are those labels that people should be looking for when they buy enamelware or pottery?
I would say yes, you can look for them, but honestly, you aren't able to list for sale if you don't meet those standards. So I mean, I would feel confident that what people are selling at reputable retailers right now will fit those standards. But yes, on our website, we have all those disclaimers and everything up there for sure to see.
Yeah, you mentioned the other markets like Asia, and I remember, I was in the housewares retail industry kind of right around when eBay started to become a thing, and people would come into our store and they'd say, "Can you get me a Le Creuset in pink?" And I would say, "What? What do you mean? No, it's not even in the catalog. What do you mean? And they say, "Well, somebody said they saw one," and then you start to look and like, oh, Japan has had pink Le Creuset for like 10 years, and so now I feel like there must be this very interesting secondary market where people are trading those things around between markets where 50 years ago that didn't happen.
Absolutely, and of course, just with digital access to information, just knowing that those colors are out there is something else as well. On social media, you can see a lot of that, but it's really interesting the way that different markets try to protect their products, and of course, transshipping things across for pricing, and so if you claim that it's not a new product, then you're free to sell whatever you want on eBay. But there are, of course, people out there claiming that it's new, and so we do have a team that's dedicated to making sure that people are authorized resellers selling our product. But I think it's more inspiring for consumers to see what other markets have out there.
Yeah.
Because when they react to it, we can see that reaction, and we might want to bring the product in, or we just might want to have a conversation with them about why it's available in one place or another place. So it is something we have to keep up with, but I just feel like it just opens up the conversation to more and more people and more things at the end of the day. Same with food trends too. I mean, I would think the same about that.
Well, and I want to talk a little bit. We've been talking a lot about color because that's Le Creuset's thing. I want to talk about the actual physical design of the pots and pans. So, I mean, there are some very famous old Le Creuset designs. You and I were talking about it yesterday. Raymond Loewy designed some really, what I think of as iconic, but maybe aren't iconic to like everybody out there who's walking into Williams-Sonoma, but people in the design world. They're very iconic for cookware that you guys then did a re-release of at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Those Loewy pieces are some of my favorite silhouettes for sure. And it's interesting because those definitely appeal to the people that appreciate the design. You and I were talking about this too. It's like, well, I don't want to cook in those. I want to put it on my wall and look at it. And that's what they were designed for, as a design piece, whereas some of the other ones are more from a functional cooking standpoint.
Totally.
So, the Loewy Cacao with the square corners and everything is, might not be the best shape to like stir something in, but it's so cool to look at. And so balancing those priorities is something that we do every day, making sure that it's delivering on the cooking process that we claim, but at the same time, even just the iconic silhouette of a Dutch oven, I find to be, a beautiful piece in and of itself, but it's super functional at the same time.
And I think I told you I lamented the now not really readily available in the U.S. market combo cooker that is both a saucepan and a small skillet. But I think you had a little news about that piece.
Yeah, and those are pieces that we bring back in and out of the market with different retailers sometimes, and so those you should be able to find out there. But the multifunction for somebody that's buying their first piece or lives in an apartment in Manhattan or something like that where they need to save space is amazing because it's still, we make sure it functions as a lid to lock in the moisture and heat from the top, but you can pop it off and use it as I think it's a 10 1/4 inch skillet.
Right.
And it's amazing. And I think it's, we need to realize, and we talked about this for our summer communications plan this year, is that not everybody's summer looks like a backyard barbecue in the suburbs with 50 people grilling in the backyard. It's just, it's not that's not the case. Where there's a lot of people that entertain in the summer in their apartment with 3 or 4 people, or they cook it inside and take it to a park. And so knowing that there's different usage occasions and different ideals out there is, you have to be cognizant of that as well.
I want to take a second, as we are doing live radio, to introduce a very special surprise drop-in guest. We have the lovely Ellen Bennett, Hedley and Bennett here. Hey, thanks for joining us.
Oh, I'm so excited. I was like, I'm fully crashing this podcast. This is going down right here, right now. I'm doing this with a big ass smile on my face.
Well, we're talking about color, and you're the queen of color.
Yeah, indeed.
So
I heard it was about color, which is why the door felt wide open to let me jump in.
Yeah.
And by the way, for those of you that can't see us, we are definitely rocking some Charleston situation here. I see florals. I see light blue. I got some stripes. Yesterday I was wearing seersucker like a boss.
Right.
Come on.
As you do in Charleston.
Yeah. And just like to fully throw it out there,
So-
I have like 4 Le Creuset Dutch ovens in my house, all color.
Yeah.
And we rock them so hard.
So
and
much.
are you a matching color collector? I mean, I know the answer to this,
You
but talk
know-
about how you choose your colors.
Everything Roy G. Biv for days. Okay, and for those of you that don't know what Roy G. Biv is, red, yellow, orange, green, blue. Violet, I think, is in there somewhere. Red, yellow, orange, green, blue.
Regular.
Indigo, violet.
Indigo, violet.
Yeah.
Thank you. I always skip the last 2 because I don't really love those colors. So in my mind, I kind of delete them. I'm like, and thank you,
blue.
next.
Right.
No, but my favorite piece that I have is my yellow Dutch oven from Le Creuset because it matches my stove. I have a yellow stove, and it's just real cool.
I love that. And I've been to see Ellen out at their space in Los Angeles, and that's what their space looks like. It's just full-on rainbow. It's so awesome. And so we're a natural fit together. But now I have to ask, so is a seersucker apron in the works after you were wearing seersucker here?
You know, I'm feeling really inspired while being in Charleston. People are like, did you get that in Charleston? I'm like, mm-mm. I was just trying to get on brand for coming to Charleston.
I love it.
No, it's so
So
good.
I think
good.
the color, the rainbow discussion, actually, I have a question of whether or not Le Creuset would ever do mixed color pots, because I've always thought about switching lids, like trading with someone, so you could have a blue pot with a yellow lid and a yellow pot with a blue lid. Did
I
you guys
have
ever sell?
suggested
So-
doing a dip.
Right.
I'm like, what if we did a tonal colored dip?
Yeah, like a rainbow bagel,
Like,
but in a Le
no,
Creuset.
even
No,
like
no, no, no,
like
a unicorn
tonal,
bagel.
like dark, like red, and then light red. You guys
So
have done a gradation one,
yeah,
which is
we
cool.
have talked about that, and I'll say a few different things. I think one, we did try a color blocking thing where the base and the lid you could choose, and unfortunately, like a lot of things, logistically, it was too hard for us to pull off. So we partnered with one retailer, and then found out we couldn't do like choose your own, so it was a white base and then choose your lid, and it didn't really live up to what we thought it should be.
Right, the customer experience wasn't possible.
And so I
because of
think
logistics.
we still want to do that whole customization thing, and we're working on ways to do it. And another piece of that is at our factory in Frenois, the same color lab that does the hand things to test them. We're trying to roll out a L'Atelier program where they will do those and then sell them as one-offs, where it's legitimately
cool.
like artistic, one-of-a-kind type pieces where you might not be able to choose it, but you know there's nothing else out there that looks like it. And so we're constantly trying to push the envelope, just the same way that Hedley and Bennett is as well. Logistically, sometimes it's just hard to pull off at scale when you're making molten cast iron at the end of the day.
So Nate, what about you at home? What's your color?
I'm all over the place. So years ago, I'll say this: my first piece that I got was my dad gave it to me, and it was 31 years ago, probably.
Whoa.
Off-white. I think it was a Crate and Barrel that he got on his wedding registry.
Wait, is that what inspired that new collection that just came out?
No, that was more of a cultural trend thing, but it looks very similar, especially after how long that we used it. Before I started working, Cobalt Blue was what I collected, and now I've got Flame, Caribbean. I love the matte textured collection.
You know what I just got?
Anything and everything.
I'm a
Not
big
red,
fan.
though. I'm not a huge red fan.
This is very important. I just got your guys' little grill situation, and then I got one. It has the grill lines, but a long one, and then I got it at Williams-Sonoma. It was flat.
The griddle.
The griddle.
One of my.
What the hell? That is so cool.
It's like a plancha that are so popular in restaurants now.
Yes.
Searing on that, I'll do that all day long before I turn the grill on outside. Just the texture that it gives is amazing.
And if you have a plancha that's like built into your crazy wolf stove
Right.
or whatever.
I do
It
not.
is such a pain to clean.
Yep.
You're trying to like get all the little edges of oil out the corners. And it's such a pain. This is awesome. You just throw it in the washer or your sink. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can deal with that. Plus, it has a little ring of color around the edge. Thank you very much.
One of my favorite wedding gifts that we got was like 100-plus-year-old cast iron griddle.
Oh,
and
wow.
it's perfect. It fits on 2 burners of my reasonably modern gas stove, apartment dweller. So it's really small. I lean it up behind the stove when I'm not using it. But I'm like, why did this go away? I'm so glad you were bringing it back.
Now I have to ask, who gave it to you? Where did it come from?
Okay,
Where did they find it? Is it a flea market find?
My
Did they
uncle
own it?
sells antique postcards
Love
at
it.
flea
Okay.
markets,
Oh,
and
that's
his
so
next door
good.
neighbor is the cast iron guy.
Okay.
Antique cast iron guy.
Wow.
So that's how I got the hookup.
Got it. So it wasn't from him, who I
No.
heard collects
Yes,
sorts of cast iron.
Yes, a lot of old cast, including some very early Le Creuset.
Right.
I have some very, very early, probably 1930s. I think they call them a fish pan,
the
but it's
oval
more
ones,
like a
yeah.
gratin
Right.
style, like baker.
Really
but it has
shallow.
really cool filigree,
Right.
like at the ends. They're very pointy,
Right.
and they come up almost like the prow of a ship.
Right. And a shallow lip on the
Yes.
side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are
Shallow
awesome.
lip on the side. I mean,
Right.
those are very cool. So, I mean, I feel like it's only 6 years out. Like, what are the plans for the 100th anniversary?
Interesting. We'll keep those under wraps, but we definitely will
Heritage
do
Radio
we'll definitely,
live from the factory.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely,
please, can we come?
absolutely.
And there's
course.
video streaming
Yes.
too.
There'll be a lot of background noise there, which is fun to hear actually, and the smells and everything. Going to that factory is amazing, but invitation's wide open.
What
just
does it
outside
smell
that.
like?
It smells like what you think burning sand and burning metal would smell like. And so the black sand molds are all one of a kind. So they're compressed at super, super high pressure into the molds. The cast iron goes in. When it goes in, it burns some of that sand, and you can you can smell it. And you're supposed to wear glasses and hard hat and boots and jacket and mask. It's not enforced. There's different safety regulations over there than there are here.
This might be a dumb question, but does burning sand make glass?
Yes, but not this particular type of sand.
Okay.
is made to be able to withstand the temperatures of the cast iron that goes in, and then when they pull them out, the mold is broken and crumbled back into sand, and we recycle it and turn it into another one. So it's used once.
Yeah, I was
then-
going to actually say, I mean, for people who are listening who don't understand the process, the process of casting iron is one that is incredibly labor intensive.
Absolutely.
And it's not like stamping out parts where you can just take a die and make 1,000 of them. You have to make a new mold for every single piece of cast iron.
Every time, and it's broken apart there, and then 15 different people touch it from that process all the way through the end, from cleaning the sand off to grinding it to polishing it, 4 different coats of enamel, put through the oven, inspected, and everything. And it's been done that way since 1925. Now, some of the process is automated, especially the pouring the molten metal in, but when it first started, literally a long stick with a pitcher on the end basically was dipped into the cast iron and hand walked over to the mold and hand poured into the mold, and they moved on to the next one. And so it's the same process. It's been more automated since then, but it's crazy to see at that scale.
Yeah, and it's elemental, right? I mean, you're talking about iron, you're talking about silica, you're talking about forming glass. Like, it's not, it is not high technology, but it is something people are using every single day.
Absolutely. And we've gotten smarter about it over the years, but it's the same thing. And the fact that you have some from the 30s, which are 5 or 6 years old after the foundry was opened, is it's very
and they
cool.
look, and they're still perfect.
Very cool.
I mean, I can cook in them now, and they're still totally usable. And hopefully my great grandchildren will have them.
I kind of like the old school ones even more because it has character. It's got some war wounds.
Yeah.
We bought these little cottages in Echo Park last year, and when we were going through all the cabinets, we found 3 super
I love it.
school Le Creuset pans, like
Amazing.
the little one, a medium one, like a skillet. And I was like, oh, hell yes.
I love it.
Took those home. They're amazing.
Right.
They're my favorite. Now they're hanging above my
I love it.
kitchen.
And so people, number one question always is, how do I clean it? How do I clean it? How do I clean it? And I'll tell people how to clean it. But I also tell them, it doesn't need to look brand new. Like, it looks, if you love it and you cook in it all the time, it's okay to have
it's like a
burnt
cookbook
grease
that's
on
like
the
got all the
side
little
and patina
edges.
in there. Absolutely. It's like, if you really use it, then you want to show that you love it and use it. And I love when people keep it like that.
Same.
I still have to answer that question, and I always will. But
Okay, so how do you clean
soap
it?
and water. Soap and water.
Just soap and water?
I mean, it's
Brillo pad,
dishwasher
like-
safe, which I don't put mine in only because
Yeah.
I have 2 young girls at home, and the dishwasher is full enough as it is. But
Right.
hot water, soap, and a scrubby sponge. You don't want to use steel wool on it, but it's scour pad safe. And if you do get anything stuck, like real stuck on it, baking soda, a little bit of water, bring it to a simmer, turn it off, and let it sit overnight, and it will lift everything right off the
That's a
enamel.
good tip.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Wait,
that
did
is
you just say
very
bagel?
Baking soda.
Oh, I was like, bagel,
bagel.
soda, water.
Yes.
That's odd. Who
Baking
knew?
soda.
Just pull out your bagel soda
Yeah,
water.
totally.
Bagel soda. Got it. Okay, baking
I'm going to
soda.
invent that, by the way, if nobody has.
Oh
Sounds
my
delicious.
God.
So now there's a whole stoneware line, right? So people can have other things that match cake stands, serving pieces, even pepper mills, salt shakers, those kinds of things.
Yeah, and we try to stick true to our heritage of color, and so that's the stoneware came from that, where it's not made in the same factory, but it's used the same glazing process and the same enamel colors to use. Still very functional, and it's a growing line for us. We've expanded to utensils, and now have stainless steel and nonstick cookware as well. But I mean,
You
as
guys have the best garlic presses.
they are great, and I think our nonstick line is. I don't know if I should admit that I use that all the time at home, but it's some of the best nonstick cookware out there. But as you said in the beginning, our round Dutch ovens are the core of the brand. They always will be. It's what any communications or anything we talk about is always going to relate back to that, because that's what people know, that's what they love, that's what they have memories of, and we want to own that.
Can I tell you something great I did last year with your Dutch ovens? I just got married, and
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I wanted to give something really special to my bridesmaids and bridesman, who is hosting the James
I
Beard
love it.
Awards this year, Jesse Tyler. And I gave each of them a Dutch oven.
I love it.
And inside the Dutch oven, I gave them my favorite spices. We made these like custom pot holders. We gave them my favorite skincare products. And so everyone got their box. They opened it up. They opened the pot, and there was
in
more
there.
stuff inside the pot. And they each got to choose their own color. So I had the entire rainbow spectrum.
I love it.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
I love
That's
it.
a great.
I got to share those photos with you.
I hope
They're,
you have
like,
pictures of it. That's what I was gonna
priceless.
ask.
Yeah. Not going to lie, they're amazing.
Did you have one for yourself?
Well, I have like 3 or 4 at home, and then at the factory we have these like shelves of behind our
Yes.
kitchen that we built.
So did you give
all
everyone
covered.
the same color coordinated
No,
with the
I let
wedding?
them choose.
I love it.
Yes. Oh my God, are you kidding? It had to be a rainbow.
love it.
It was red and purple, but it was awesome. Jenny from Jenny's Ice Creams was
Right.
one of my bridesmaids. She got one. Daniela from Atla got another one. I mean, I was hawking some Le Creuset.
I love it.
Hardcore.
Amazing. Well, that's awesome. Well, this was great. Ellen, thank you so much.
Thanks
for
for letting
jumping
me
in. It
pop
was
in,
super
guys.
Fun.
It's always good to see
Thank you,
you.
Nate,
Of course.
for giving us a little, a view into the mind of Le Creuset and how the
Absolutely.
colors and how the design works. And Caity, thank you so much for joining me as well.
Thank you, Harry.
Thanks for having us. This was so much fun.
Thank you to Le Creuset and the Julia Child Foundation for making Heritage Radio Network on Tour possible here at Charleston Wine and Food. I'm Harry Rosenblum from Heritage Radio Network. My show, Feast Your Ears, is on every Monday. HRN is a member-supported nonprofit based in Bushwick, Brooklyn. You can listen to over 10,000 episodes of food radio podcasts and become a member at heritageradionetwork.org.
Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. For our freshest content and to hear about exclusive events, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at heritage_radio. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be a part of the food world's most innovative community? Rate the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join our community by becoming a member. Just click on the beating heart at the top right of our homepage. Thanks for listening.